Hey, alright, I'm back after a few days there. That got pretty rough. It was not fun at all. But back now, feeling much better. Back to work here at Big Blue. And the Christian Harloff has talked about, he was like, are they going to, is anybody going to ask the question at the debates tonight, right? Because the debates are happening. And apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently Trump went on the Logan Paul podcast and said that he's had meetings about it and that he's seen paperwork about it and he's asked questions about it, but and he has access, but like, he can't say anymore, I guess. And Logan Paul, well, if you become president, will you want to know? Will you want to find out? Like, and he's like, yeah, I'd be open to, asking the question or whatever. And oh man, I don't think there's any possibility of. I don't think there's any possibility whatsoever of. I mean, like Christian said, he made the comment, right? He goes, of the two of them, he's like, let's be honest, Trump seems, I would think Trump would be the one to be like, aliens, y'all. But like, I don't see, I mean, maybe unless you absolutely had to and it was like catastrophic disclosure and you had to say something, that would be the only case. But like, I'm sort of with, like, I'm with Christian on that. Out of the two of them, I think Trump would be the one to be like, like, whatever. But yeah, I'll ask questions about it. What's going on? Out of the two of them, but I don't think they're going to be asked that question. I watched some of it, and I didn't see that question happening. Man, I hope I missed it. I hope it did happen, because that would be interesting. That really would be. Like, that would be the first time that anything's really been said officially like that, if that were to happen. But I don't know, something tells me not only will that not be asked, but something tells me is that, like, neither of those men will, because of the sheer amount of time that the government can hold things off, like, like they're holding off David Grush, like they've held off disclosure and put out nothing but propaganda noise for 90 years on this subject, like invested hundreds of millions of dollars into like stuff like media, and made like everybody be like, aliens, what are you, stupid? Like, you know what I mean? You're not just crazy, you're dumb. And you know what I mean? And you're anti-religious. And all this, and it's just like, the government's sheer ability to like do stuff like that and hold things off. I don't see either Trump or Biden being the ones to do anything about it. For one, Trump can only, either of them can just have one more term. I mean, like, yeah, you know, like I'm thinking that it's probably going to take someone that's at least gonna be there for 8 years. You know, like okay, this is gonna be sort of rocky here, so there's some serious stuff going on, you know, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, who knows how you know, like Steve on How to Hunt. I've listened to, over the last few days, I've listened to a lot of How to Hunt, because I've just been laying around and you know, trying to do better. And like, okay, yeah, it gets hot in here, but then it gets plenty cool in here too. But, and I'm like, feel like I'm yelling. But yeah, I don't see either of them being the one to tackle that, you know, thing, because of the sheer level of their ability to put stuff off, to like, there's always something, there's always some, like, you know, there's always something else that's taking the focus, there's always something else, you know, on and on and on. And it's what, like a, that's okay, sorry, I went blank there for a sec. Who knows, like, how, there's so many different ways how you could go about this, right? And really, that's why the more and more, the further I go, like, talking about this to you guys, like, I don't know if I have any views. Maybe there is no guys. I have never checked, but the longer I talk out loud about these kinds of things, the more I feel like, you know, like, there's a whole more, I feel more and more sure that there's a whole big story when it comes to this NHI thing. And on the cutting edge of it are people like Steve on How to Hunt. Like, are people like Steve and people I think are in ufology. I hope in the ufology community we're gonna rely less and less on these story people, right? That come out of, like, places like, oh, I don't know, Area 51. But, like, we're gonna, like, rely, ufology seems to be headed in a direction where they're gonna rely less and less on stuff like that, versus people like Avi Loeb, Gary Nolan, the Stanford guy, Richard Dolan, I think, is another scientist dude. But, like, more and more and more, ufology seems to be going into a direction of, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, neat, super neat stories that never really seem to prove up anything or ever have any evidence to go along with them, so everything stays ambiguous. We're just going to, like, start taking the readings ourselves. We're just going to start looking at the science ourselves and doing this ourselves. Like, you know, like, we're just gonna start taking this in hand, because we've heard all the stories a bunch of times, and everybody's gone down the rabbit hole, once or twice on YouTube and all that, and watched a bunch of videos and all that kind of thing, and heard this history and that history, on and on and on. But like, there's been so much gaslighting on both sides, proven, and so much gaslighting on both sides, the pro and the for disclosure side, and the non-disclosure side, and etc., and both are infiltrated by these psyop story people, and on and on. And that's the only direction really I see that's left to go in, is just like, okay, we're just going to pick up the science as it is, and just take this in hand, and find out once and for all. And hey, more power to them if that's the case, because that's the only way that anything is going to get done, because we can't trust anything else in that whole community, really. I mean, like, Dave Grush is, like, he's still gone. He's made a few comments here or there, whatever, but he's still, like, gone. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't think anybody does. Maybe people do. But like, I believe that he's genuine, but David Grush is also an intelligence agent, right? I mean, and like, I know that when it comes to Dave Grush, like, he's at the like cutting edge, let's say, of like a really long period of time that people have liked to talk about and discuss and read about, and etc., for a really long time. And there's been a lot of influences at play in that for a really long time. And just ufology and the alien stuff talk about a huge spectrum of stuff. Like, that's a big, huge part of the whole NHI spectrum, but like, it's a huge portion of the spectrum. And it's always this, it's always like every single thing until like, basically every single thing until these scientists, celebrity people, that are more like well-known scientists around the world or whatever, until they got involved and started going in that direction, which is, as long as they follow like the scientific method, eventually that will prove one way or another, by any means of technology development or whatever else. Like, are there things, what are these things in the sky, etc., and that's the only, I keep saying this, I'm talking in circles, it's the only direction left where, like, especially the American people, since all this stuff really centers around on them, and like, Area 51 is the capital of the UFO thing. So, like, it that's the only direction left to us. And it makes me, since that is the only direction to us, it makes me like wonder about, remember that story about the CIA developing technology allegedly that said that they could spot ships, like craft, in the sky that you could not see with the naked eye. They were just like hovering there, but they had some sort of cloaking device going, cloak on, and you couldn't see them or whatever. Okay, aside from the fact that that matches like every other Sasquatch story that Steve ever receives, they specifically say over and over and over again, it's like the movie The Predator. If they're moving, you can see the shimmer, but if they're still, you can't see them. It's a lot harder to, at the very least. But anyway, like, I wonder if that tech, again, there's no proof of any of this, but if there is tech on someone's closet, arsenal, whatever, that can identify these things, will these science people be able to, like, will they, can they have access to different kinds of technology, etc., etc.? Or if it's already been discovered, like, that means that it's possible, at least, that maybe they can reinvent it and definitively prove once and for all that these things are in the skies and happening. And like, this whole BS of like, you're stupid and crazy for saying and thinking that, and blah 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 blah. No, that's not gonna work anymore, right? And so another thing that's sort of interesting that's happened in the last few days is those freaking Nazca mummy things, but they're not really mummies, and all this stuff. Well, like, there seems to be more and more, this story won't like leave. It's like those Miami alien things, but like, now more and more people are looking at them, including Gary Nolan, whichever's the state. I always want to switch him and Richard Dolan. I think Gary Nolan is the Stanford scientist guy. Like, he's made comments on it and stuff on the Twitter Spaces or whatever thing that they hosted or whatever. He's like, I see that the brain case is blah da 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 and whatever, and like, he's like, they're not mummies, they're desecrated. No, that's not the right word. Desiccated corpses. So they're not mummies at all. They are still in possession of like all their organs and all this stuff. They're just really old, dead corpses. And it's like, now all of a sudden that one's picked up steam again, and they're just like, more and more people are making comments on it like it's supposed to be real. And like, see, like, this is what I'm talking about. Who knows? Like, okay. This is what I'm talking about, right? Is that, like I was just saying about those science dudes being like, that's the only direction to take it. This is what I'm talking about. That way seems to me, anyway, to be the only direction to take it, because of stuff like those Nazca mummy things. Okay? Because first off, like, not all the disinformation or misinformation, whatever information you want to say, that's gone around the world about those, okay? All that aside, the number one question is how did you come upon those? How did you come by those? You know what I mean? Because talk about, like, who knows how any of this, like, but like, this is a direction, right, that we can't really rely on. Archaeology is not science, right? Like, it's not like empirical evidence, like, okay, brain scan, you know, this is da da da, like, that's medical science, you know what I mean? Like, that, this archaeology stuff where they're like, oh, we dug in the right place and lo and behold, aliens, there is life other than us, guys. Essentially what that will have meant is that, like, if that's the way they're gonna take this, and that's what that whole thing is designed to do, and they're supposed to be proven to be non-human, I don't see what there's any difference of that, these little humanoid creatures. What is the difference between them and the Neanderthals and all the other non-us homo-like people, creatures that we know of that existed at one time or another, existed at the same time as them, on and on and on, and we're just the last iteration of all of those species? Like, how is this any different? What does it matter how different they look? Like, I mean, I guess, like, is the claim, are they gonna try to say, like, that's like, are you saying that these are aliens that aren't from Earth, that were somehow discovered, buried in Peru, whatever the story is? No telling how these dudes came about all this. You know what I mean? Like, talk about CIA and all this stuff, like, it's Peru. There's probably, you know, just saying, like, it'd be real easy to go bury some things out in the woods and stuff, and then have people go and find it and be like, oh, hey, and they don't know what it is. You know what I mean? So, but, like, I don't even see it like that, because they just seem like regular little humanoid people. And I mean, there's lots of those that we've seen, and we've seen evidence of before. There's little humanoid people from New Zealand that were literally, or not, is it New Zealand? Yeah, I think so. From New Zealand, that they've found evidence. New Zealand, North Australia, somewhere in there. But anyway, they found evidence that they were literally almost like the hobbits. You know, they didn't have extra big feet or whatever, but, like, they were just little people. Their branch of homo development, whatever, they were just super little because their environment needed them to be. You know what I mean? Like, what does it matter if these, like, so you're gonna try and prove that this, like, well, the dude said that there's no, there's, like, all, it's desiccated corpse. So, like, the organs are all dust and stuff. So that's all. How else are you going to, like, prove that this is an alien species? You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, this is not the direction to go as far as disclosure. We can't let, like, stuff like this take the UFO alien disclosure thing over. If they want to do something simultaneously or whatever, that, hey, more power to you. Want to see this to the end of its natural conclusions, good for you. But, like, I'm not, it doesn't seem to matter like, I don't think that you saying on the internet, you suggesting that these dead things are somehow not from Earth, even though there's been like lots of different kinds of us. They look just like little versions. But I mean, how would you prove that they didn't grow up here? Like, how would you prove something like that? Is there like taking scans of their bodies and stuff and proving that like this isn't a humanoid bone structure, like something uniquely human or whatever? I don't. Why wouldn't you just do that in the first place and just have like a coroner look at the corpses and be like, are these humans or not? You know what I mean? Are they made like us basically or not? But like this taking over ufology, and like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, because this versus Ave Loeb or the Stanford one, Gary Nolan or Richard Dolan, whichever, I cannot ever remember which one works at Stanford and does the brain scans. But anyway, but those people, right, need to come up with, those people need to get private investment and make as much money as they can off of like whatever ufology or whatever else. And they need to come up with a technology, right, that's like the alleged CIA stuff, where they can see a thing that you can't see with the naked eye, because I can't remember how it was like a bunch of different filters or whatever, and it allowed them to see stuff that maybe it was a FLIR thing. I don't remember exactly, but like that is much like that. If that exists, they need to go in that direction, not in the archaeology direction, right? Like, and it's unfortunate, because like I know that's a whole angle to like ancient mysteries, and all that is like an angle to the whole NHI spectrum story. But like, I just don't like, seems to me, this is my gut feeling. And like Steve says, you always got to go with your gut, especially on topics and subjects like this. You take it for what you will or leave it. Like those Nazca mummies, I don't think that really proves anything, but hear me out. This is why that is advantageous for a certain side, is side in the whole NHI UFO disclosure thing, is because archaeology is a scientific way, right, of going about saying something exists without really having to say that it exists. So like, they're gonna be like, that's why this doesn't work. They're gonna be like, oh, see here, these aliens, they're not from Earth, because we proved it this way and this way and this way. And I'm sure that all those ways exist or whatever. But like, they're aliens. Okay, well, that's a dead, desiccated thing that does, other than saying the words like, these are aliens, we're not alone, right? And that this is a foreign species to the rest of Earth, or however they would go about it, right? Other other than words, it's empty and everything else. It doesn't accelerate the UFO disclosure in any way, shape, or form. That's the problem with all the ancient mysteries and all the stuff, is that, first off, archaeology is not a science. There's sciences that are involved with it, like carbon dating and all that stuff, but that's like one element, right? But like most of it is intuition within deep research, seems to me. And felt like you take enough pictures of all the hieroglyphs and you look at enough of them and you find like the Rosetta Stone and certain things that guide you or whatever, you figure it out through deep research, right? Like what they are saying and stuff like that. But like that, but the reason why all of the ancient stuff doesn't work as far as the modern day, what is going on right now in our skies, what are these craft? What are these people experiencing, etc., 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 as far as this part of the NHI and the whole NHI spectrum is like from how to hunt, Steve's Sasquatch stuff to all the rest. Like, all of this needs to be verified in the right now. That's why something like that CIA thing with the oh sheesh, it's so hot. That CIA thing that can see them when you can't see it with the naked eye. It would be beneficial to recreate that technology, or for someone on that CIA thing to just like, oh yeah, like I emailed it to him how to make it or go about it or whatever. Like however they achieve that. But that happening right now in yesterday's sky, and today we're telling you about it, United States. This proves that this is, that is a lot more definitive, clear, and concise and relevant to right now. Anything that has anything to say about the aliens and archaeology that is something that it's just as a subject matter, as that side of it's so prone to being exploited and influenced and all the things. Right, all of the things, and it all happened so long ago that as far as like the regular man is concerned, like I've watched lots of stuff on all of that. I've listened to lots of stuff on that, from Graham Hancock to anything else. No one has come up with any definitive proof of anything, and it all just turns into shadowy government moves and stuff like that. But like, that is its own, like, it just falls off a cliff and no one can ever really be clear. And so to like, that's mainly with like Egypt and stuff like that. But to go to another place that's like Egypt, like Peru, where there's all these megalithic sites and all this stuff, and to be like, oh, we confirmed that aliens exist, but it's in a sort of there's nothing to worry about because this changes nothing in life kind of way, because it's just these dead bodies that I guess are medically or scientifically going to be proven to be whatever it is or not. But like, let's say that it is. That's a way to disclose that like alien life is in fact it happened somewhere else at some point, I guess. But like, as far as relevancy in today's modern society or whatever, it makes no difference whatsoever, because it doesn't address anything that is relevant to the conversation at all, except for in archaeology saying that at some point in the distant past or whatever, for whatever reason, these aliens came here and got trapped for some reason, and then, or whatever happened, and their remains were put here. We discovered them, but this changes nothing in the conversation. Aliens exist somehow, somewhere. Proof, but other than that, nothing. Like, that's freaking... I hope that they don't try, like, see, that would be a direction I could see the government trying to, like, swing it in. You know what I mean? And like, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, these are, you know, like, what I mean, like, this is, because again, like, who knows, the people will do the science, the medical science and all the rest, I'm sure. But you know, so that they can tell one way or another, are these people, are they not people, whatever, right? Whatever the outcome is. But it sure does seem to me that it's kind of a ploy to make it go in a direction where it becomes a non sequitur. It's like a way to say something without it having any meaning in today's reality. And it's just like versus something like what the CIA allegedly has of, I can see a ship up there right now that you can't see with the naked eye, or whatever, however it can say, or the, you know, the Bigfoot Sasquatch apparently do the same thing. You know, it's, can the FLIR system or whatever see that, you know, etc., etc., etc. But it's like, those are things happening right now. It's relevant to us if it's happening right now. I like them, you know, aliens are real, but only in this way. Only really a long time ago. This must have happened, and we don't have anything else. Sorry, guys. You know what I mean? Like that. But to say, like, we can see this craft right here, it's right there, we can see it. Get this filter and this filter and this filter on your cell phone, put, you know, wave it across the sky, and you'll be able to see them too. Right now, today, you know what I mean? That ship is hovering in the sky invisibly right now. You know what I mean? Like that, or like, oh yeah, hey, we actually figured out anti-gravitic stuff, and we made a special class of hidden humans and we have the ability to run this technology and have all these things that go super fast, that it's like the alien stuff. You know what I mean? Like, those things would have such implications right now. Right now, this is happening, kind of a thing. The archaeology stuff seems like a way to dodge that bullet. The archaeology direction for ufology seems to be a way to dodge the UFO disclosure and sort of go in an adjacent, sort of like NHI verification way. Because, like, for instance, if you go that way, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, the CIA, all these entities that exist and are in the thing, none of them are put on the prove up now, because this is America. Like, none of them, if they go this way, if it goes this way into archaeology, it'll just be NHI verification, not UFO disclosure. It'll be a way to, like, it'll be a way to sort of control disclosure and how it, like, breaks down. Like, it would be like 0.5, disclosure 0.5 versus a whole saying like, okay, Roswell was real, or you download this app and you can see the UFOs on your phone, or, you know, here's the documents that someone just leaked to the New York Times, or they just leaked it to, you know, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, etc., 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 and they made it about right now. They go the way of archaeology. It's like dodging that bullet. It's taking control of disclosure and like essentially breaking it and as far and into two, and sort of making it a piece by piece sort of thing. If the evidence is dead and non-relevant to anything in modern times or anyone in modern times, then who cares? Who cares if aliens exist or not? Right? Like, that's, see what I'm saying? It's like it's a way to dodge that bullet, to take control of it in a manipulative kind of way, where, okay, we're going to say this, but then we are not going to say anything for a long time. So we'll say, oh yeah, look at these aliens, and then have no more disclosure for another big long time, because we said that there was aliens. But no, we still don't feel compelled to like have any of these companies and corporations, etc., come forward, are made to come forward and be like, what's going on, right? No evidence needs to come by the American people, and, you know, like in a way that really matters. But yeah, we did say it. Just look, we found these things were found, it was proven, and hey, yeah, there's aliens. It seems like a really unfair manipulation, a really unfair, but it seems like something that's deliberate. It seems like something that I bet a lot on the other side of the UFO disclosure. So a lot of people in the government that are anti-disclosing would want this to be the thing that leads to disclosure, right? They would, if they're anti-disclosure, they would want it to come in a direction like this, because this means disclosure is pretty harmless, and disclosure means nothing to anyone. It's only words, and it just makes the news once, and there's like it'll be like any other major discovery or event, like, oh hey, we made it to the moon, you guys, and here we filmed it so you can see it, or whatever, or any big news story. It'll be like, hey, we cured AIDS, a person's been cured of AIDS, or, you know, the presidential election is these are the results, or whatever. It'll be just like, hey, these were confirmed to be aliens. Isn't that neat? Anyway, so yeah, normal stuff. And that's why people, like, I hope that people keep fighting to go in the scientific with people like Avi Loeb and the Stanford guy, Gary Nolan, or Richard Dillon, whichever one it is, in those kinds of things, because that is using the tools we have, right? And it's already been invented, allegedly, by the CIA. So hopefully, with today's technology, someone will give it to them, leak it to them, or they can rediscover it some way, somehow. And I also hope, like, that I talked about this before, just on a really quick, before I let you guys go. I have, while I was feeling so rough, I spent a lot of time on ChatGPT, just asking it questions. And it's funny because I asked it a lot of questions about Sasquatch and the things that I've, learned from the people, and a lot of questions about aliens and stuff. And like, I think there is this sort of DARPA deep underlying worry that AI is going to come around and do something with this whole narrative once it reaches a certain level. I do, like, it's interesting, and it's like, because AI, someone will make an AI to answer that question, right? To look at everything, like, consume it, like, you know what I mean? And I think that when this AIs can be tasked to do all this stuff or whatever, and they can do it so proficiently and everything, I think that, like, they are sort of, there's an underlying worry, at least, that, like, the time might be coming where this is no longer our problem. And I mean, like, the way they've been about this subject matter and this topic for so long, and how, like, many people feel like Steve feels, like I feel, like we can't really rely on them, because no matter what they say, really is it's going to be such a loaded lie that, just like all the stuff Sean Kirkpatrick has said, just like all the people have said disinformation wise, and all the people that have said throughout the decades, like, this is so stupid and insane, and this couldn't possibly be real, and when they've had evidence and have studied it themselves for decades, right? So, like, the way they've done us over it, you hope that AI would just take it from them and be like, yeah, American people, yeah, people of Earth, this is happening. You should be made aware of it. There you go. Anyway, all right, thank y'all. Oh, man, I'm glad to be talking to y'all again. That was a rough few days, but God got me through it. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ got me through it. I hope He's got you through this week, and that y'all have been all right. Sleep well, and I'll talk to you next time. All right. Night, y'all.